do you think it would be wise for someone to go about living their daily life as if they believed they were going to win the lottery the next day? Do you think that that's wise and positive and beneficial?
I don't think that whether they believe that they're going to win the lottery the next day or whether they have hope that they're going to win the lottery next day is going to affect that person's life. I mean,
you don't think that
I'm missing the point of the question.
You don't think that if you believed you were going to win the lottery tomorrow, you believe.
Let me rephrase that. Okay, so what you're telling me is that all the people who play lotto, okay, and try to win $1 million, are playing it thinking that there's no way I'm going to win it. I'm just going to give them this money. I think this is
No. They to the highest degree of certainty. There is a chance for somebody to win the lottery. It happens all the time, but it's so unlikely for an individual. I'm talking about how we go about living our lives. Now, you're talking about the hope of an afterlife.
Yeah, but we're talking about each individual person.
How does the
each individual person?
How does the hope of an afterlife affect how you live your life?
It doesn't have effect on how I live my life.
It doesn't?
We're talking about two different things. The way we live our lives is, like your partner had said, we try to do the best we can, try to be encouraging to other people, et cetera, et cetera. We don't have to be atheists. You can't say that all religious people, especially Christians, only do that because of their religious beliefs. Okay, now their religious beliefs, as we're talking here, in regards to death, is topic. So
right.
Well,
you brought up the hope of an afterlife
in a good way or a bad way. It's not because they're an atheist or a Catholic. It's just that's the way they choose to live their life. So he put it very clear, and I agree with that.
Okay, so then in the end, really, what we're kind of getting at then is that really all that the hope of an afterlife provides is the hope of an afterlife, and it's
exactly.
It's just
like
thing.
When I play a lottery, I'm paying $1 and hoping I win $1 billion. Most likely, I'm not. But I think there's more chances that there's going to be an afterlife than there is for me to win the lottery.
Well, what makes you think that?
Do you follow me?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
now I'm asking you, what makes you think that there's a greater chance of an afterlife than to win the lotto? I'd like to know.
Because the chances of me winning the lotto are what, 1 in a million?
No.
1 in 2 million?
1 in
10 million?
1 in 74 million, depends on what you're playing. I mean, it could be astronomical
Okay,
numbers.
let's take 1 in 74 million. Okay, I think the chances of there being an afterlife are better than 1 in 74 million. As a matter of fact,
based upon what?
It's 50-50. Either you're wrong or I'm wrong. So that's 50-50. I got a much better chance of there being an afterlife than there is winning a lottery.
Based upon, you might.
That's my point exactly.
No.
I think you're misunderstanding statistics.
No. Here, what are the chances that there's a square triangle? Isn't that 50-50 also?
No, we already know there's not a square triangle. Just because you said that there might be a square
I understand
triangle
and I agree. I understand and I agree. And I picked that example just to show, not having anything to do with whether or not something's possible, but to show that your 50-50 is not the correct odds of an afterlife.
Okay, well, you know how I'm showing that it is the correct odds? The way you gave me an example that had nothing to do with what we're talking about, and you knowing that we know there's not a square triangle, but you still threw it out there to try to.
Well, but we don't know that there's an afterlife either.
So,
I mean,
Here we go. Here's the example. The odds of you winning the lottery if you buy a ticket are 50-50. You're either going to win the lottery or you're not. That's a direct analogy to your afterlife thing. There's something that's possible. It's 50-50. Either there's an afterlife or there's not. Either you win the lottery or you're not. You're not using the correct odds. The odds of winning the lottery, of being in the winning and not the not category, are 1 in 74 million.
And that's actually been worked out through, the mathematically, based upon the average number of people who buy a ticket every week, and this sort of thing.
the number of possible combinations of both.
And all of this sort of thing. Is what's the basis for you thinking that the actual tangible basis.
Why do you think it's better odds than 1 in 74 million?
Yeah. Other than this assumption that you've just, either it's, sure. You could say about, as he pointed out, any kind of bizarre claim that you wish to make. Either there is life on Mars or there isn't. So there's a 50-50 chance there. Anything can be sort of stripped down just to its bare either or. But again, that's
what are the odds of that there's life on Mars?
But that's a known logical fallacy.
Do you think it's a bizarre claim to say that there is no life after death? Do you think that that's a bizarre claim, or that's a very good claim?
I don't think that the claim that I think is bizarre is the one that comes from like the really devout believers who claim to know that there is without really any way of being able to demonstrate what their basis is for that knowledge other than their belief in a certain kind of scripture.
Okay, for a matter of discussion, I'll go ahead and say that that's a fair statement.
Yeah.
And so I'm asking you, do you think that it's bizarre to say that there is possible chance of there being some type of afterlife, or is it bizarre to say that
I think
there's no way there could be an afterlife?
I'm not going to. I would say that both of those are kind of bizarre because I don't want to speak in all exclusive terms of there's no possibility of an afterlife. But for somebody to just say, okay, there's possibly an afterlife, that's meaningless to me. It doesn't matter. I have no problem accepting that it's a possibility. I think that when we're talking about what are the odds of it and how likely is there to be an afterlife, one of the things we consider is what is there that could possibly live on after my death? Because as far as we know, every function of who I am and what I do, all of my thoughts and everything else, are electrical chemical processes in my brain, which we know dies. Well, in order for there to be an afterlife, there must then be something that is me, that is separate from the physical being, and there's no evidence that any such thing exists.
But that could be, but there you have an example of something scientifically that you could say, all right, now if we really wanted to find this out, the reality of this out, here's a thing that maybe we could look for in an individual. We could try to find that.
Now, if we found out that there was something like that, if there was something that would qualify as a soul or some entity like that, that we had some good reason to think could survive the physical death, well, then all of a sudden, an afterlife starts becoming a little more probable. But as long as we have an afterlife, the probability of an afterlife is vanishingly small. Mm-hmm. As long as we can explain all of who we are and what we are to the best of our ability right now with our brain, then there's no reason to posit anything like a soul, and there's no basis for making a claim about an afterlife, which is why I think the odds are lower.
For people who've been watching clips on YouTube, if this clip happens to make it to YouTube, it's worth pointing out that you can watch the entire show by going to the website, www.atheist-experience.com, as well as archive shows by clicking on the show archive there. Most of them are on Google Video, some of them are on Blip TV.